So we all know that a lot of people have not been enjoying the Multiverse Saga with Marvel Studios, and that's why I've started this series on how I personally would do and handle the Multiverse Saga. I did my Phase 1 video, and today is Part 2 where I'll be covering Phase 5. Now, Phase 5 has definitely been a mess, more so than Phase 4 in my opinion. This will be my version of Phase 5 and how I would handle the second chapter of the Multiverse Saga. If you have not seen my Phase 4 video, please watch that first because this probably won't make any sense unless you do. Now let's get started. Just like in real life, my version of Phase 5 would begin the same way with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Now, if you noticed in my last video, Ant-Man and the Wasp were both absent from Avengers: Secret Invasion, which was the Avengers movie I placed at the end of Phase 4, and that's because I wanted to save their next appearance for this movie, and the plot of this movie would stay pretty much the same as the real-life film. The biggest thing I would change about this movie is how it ends. The finale itself would stay the same with Ant-Man and the Wasp and the family taking on Kang the Conqueror. But in the finale, Kang would end up escaping the quantum realm and would destroy the portal, leaving Scott and Hope trapped in the quantum realm. The movie would end with Cassie trying to figure out a way to get her parents back, ending the movie on a cliffhanger. The post-credit scene would show Kang the Conqueror returning and reuniting with the Council of Kangs. He would kill one of the Kangs who tries to defy him, and the rest of the multiversal Kang army would bow down to their new ruler as he prepares his new multiversal conquest plan. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 would be delayed just a little bit because first I'm actually going to do the MCU Blade movie. This movie would be completely standalone and would have no impact on the greater MCU. The plot of the movie would be relatively simple, where Blade would be in Russia hunting down a cult of vampires that are trying to resurrect Lilith, who is the queen of the vampires. The finale would be an epic bloodbath of just Blade just destroying an army of vampires along defeating Lilith. Now, because this project is very standalone, this would actually be the first MCU movie with no post-credit scene. Blade will return in the MCU, but not for a while. The next project in my version of Phase 5 would then be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and there's only a little bit that I would change about this movie, but not much. The biggest difference in this version of Guardians of the Galaxy 3 would be that Peter Quill would actually end up dying in the finale, and I do this really just to give the film some really hardcore emotional weight and some resonance for the remainder of the MCU. Just like in the real movie, Rocket Raccoon and Groot would form a new version of the Guardians of the Galaxy, but in this version, there would be a new post-credit scene where they were actually approached by some of the Eternals, as long as Star Fox and Pip the Troll, who asked the Guardians for their help in locating the other Eternals. We will not see the continuation of this storyline until the Eternals sequel, which will be in Phase 6. The next project in my version of Phase 5 would then be Captain America: New World Order, and I'm keeping the original title because I just think it's a cooler title personally. The movie would be about Sam Wilson, who has taken on the role of Captain America full-time, and he would face against the leader who is controlling the Serpent Society, and they are trying to cripple the United States government. But in the finale, they would not be the only villains, as we would see that President Ross would end up changing into the Red Hulk and Sam would have to battle him at the White House. The movie would end with Ross being defeated and in prison, while his vice president, Rhodey, would end up becoming the president of the United States of America. The post-credit scene would see the return of Valentina, who we have not seen since the post-credit scene of Captain America Legacy in Phase 4. The post-credit scene would show Valentina visiting Ross in prison and her discussing that it's time to start her Thunderbolts project. And that will lead into the next project, which would officially be Thunderbolts. This movie would be a little different than the real-life version because I did not do a Black Widow movie in Phase 4, so characters like Red Guardian and Taskmaster will not be in this movie. I will keep Yelena Belova, but this would actually end up being her MCU debut, and she would be a ex-Black Widow agent that was recruited by Valentina. But I would keep Bucky Barnes as well as Ghost on the team, but instead of Red Guardian, I would actually replace him with Baron Zemo, who would have also appeared in Captain America Legacy, and instead of Taskmaster, I would replace her with the Abomination. Now again, because I did not do a Black Widow movie, this means that the Red Room was never destroyed and is still active. This would mean that the Thunderbolts mission by Valentina would be to travel to the Red Room headquarters and destroy the Red Room program. In the finale, the Thunderbolts would be told by Valentina to destroy all the brainwashed widows, but Yelena, knowing that these widows were being mind-controlled, the Thunderbolts refused to do so, and they attempt to escape Valentina, who sends the Sentry after them, who is also being controlled by the Widow mind control program. In the finale, the Thunderbolts would battle Sentry and they would free him from the Black Widow mind control program, and they would reveal to the United States government of Valentina's corruption and what she was trying to do with the Thunderbolts program, and they would all end up going away as free citizens. In the post-credit scene, Valentina would be taken to the same prison where Ross and the leader are both being kept. She would overhear a conversation of them talking about their plan to destroy the man that began all their troubles in the first place, Bruce Banner. The next movie in Phase 5 would be Daredevil Born Again. And yes, I'm not going to end up doing this as a TV show. This would end up being a feature-length film, and this would basically be Season 4 of the Daredevil Netflix series, but in a theatrical film format. The movie would see the return of the rivalry between Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk, as Wilson Fisk is currently running for mayor in New York City. The movie would also see Daredevil fighting both against Bullseye and Moose as the main villains. Frank Castle would return in this movie as the Punisher, making this his official MCU debut, and in the finale they would both team up to take down both Bullseye and Muse together. The movie would actually end on a cliffhanger as we see that Wilson Fisk is officially elected as mayor of New York City, and his first new law as mayor is to ban vigilantes and superheroes altogether from New York City. This would lead to the post-credit scene where we would see Spider-Man reacting to this news as he watches Wilson Fisk broadcast on the ban of vigilantes. This would be Spider-Man's first appearance since No Way Home and his only appearance in Phase 5. The next film in Phase 5 would finally be the Fantastic Four, bringing Marvel's first family into the MCU. It would be revealed that the Fantastic Four were actually a popular superhero team in 1963 of the MCU. The main plot of the movie would see the Fantastic Four facing off against Galactus, who arrives on Earth in 1963 to try to conquer and devour the Earth, along with the arrival of the Silver Surfer. The finale of the movie would see the Fantastic Four finally defeating Galactus by using a device to trap him inside the negative zone, but the team would sadly be trapped inside the device as well, and they would be trapped in there for over 60 years until the movie ends with them being released from the device and finding themselves in modern-day New York City, where they are suddenly surrounded by members of the Avengers who are wondering who this new team possibly could be. The post-credit scene would see Dr. Doom back in Latveria watching a live broadcast of the news discussing the Fantastic Four's return, teasing that there could be a potential showdown between the Fantastic Four and Dr. Doom in the future. The next film in Phase 5 would be Deadpool and Wolverine, and this movie would be quite different from the real-life version. Now, because I did not do a Loki TV series in Phase 4, we have not seen the TVA in this version of the Multiverse Saga yet. So in this movie, the TVA would still capture Deadpool because of his shenanigans from Deadpool 2 with Cable's time-traveling device. But in this movie, the TVA would be a straight-up evil and sinister organization. The TVA would be revealed to be controlled by a Kang variant called Immortus, who believes that the Fox universe no longer has any place in his grand design for the multiverse and plans to destroy the Fox universe as a whole. The main story of the movie would see Deadpool and Hugh Jackman's Wolverine teaming up together along with a force and alliance of Fox X-Men characters to take down the TVA along with Immortus. The movie would end with Deadpool and Wolverine being successful in destroying the TVA along with Immortus, but in so doing, they fail to stop and save the Fox universe, which is still destroyed. Before they are killed in the explosion of the TVA, Deadpool, Wolverine, and a few of the key X-Men characters like Storm, Cyclops, Colossus, and more would escape through a portal and would arrive in the main MCU universe where they are stuck as there is no way to get back home. The post-credit scene would actually feature Deadpool and Wolverine being placed under S.H.I.E.L.D. custody and are brought before Nick Fury and a few of the Avengers, where Deadpool and Wolverine are forced to discuss who they are and where they come from. The final movie in Phase 5 would be Avengers War of the Realms. This would be a continuation of Thor Love and Thunder and would see the Avengers being caught up in a war of the gods as the gods of Olympus battle against Mangog, who is a cosmic being that embodies the spirit of hate. At the end of my version of Thor Love and Thunder, Thor lost his powers and is now living on Earth as a mortal man and is currently working as a small clinic doctor in honor of Jane Foster. Hercules would arrive on Earth to attack Thor, but seeing that he is a mortal man, would decide not to fight him as it would not be a fair fight. Thor would finally be persuaded by the Avengers to join the fight, and he would be deemed worthy again to wield Mjolnir and Stormbreaker, but the movie would end on a somber note as Thor would end up sacrificing his life to save the universe by destroying Mangog. The post-credit scene would see Cassie Lang, who has been working alongside Bruce Banner and Reed Richards on a way to find Scott and Hope and bring them back from the quantum realm. The scene would end with the team reactivating the device and bringing Scott and Hope back from the quantum realm. Scott would be freaking out and would need to warn the Avengers about a massive threat that he senses is coming with Kang the Conqueror. And this would be our tease for Phase 6, which will be the final chapter of the Multiverse Saga. Well, guys, that was my idea for how I would handle Phase 5 of the MCU and the second chapter of the Multiverse Saga. If you would like to see Part 3, which will cover Phase 6 and the finale of the saga, let me know, leave a like, and subscribe if you want to see more content like this.